Spook,
Yes.
what do you think about the added security at the football games?
Oh, I don't know what's going on with this stuff anymore, Sly.
So you don't think it's warranted?
No.
Well, you think that have a reason to be monitoring the crowd like that?
I know what the and all
He's
aggravation.
He's
Fucking Christ.
it is
Fucking God. Do you think
right. Welcome to the mid-season break episode of the Collingwood Rant. I am Sly.
And I am not by Spook.
Okay, alright, so we're just going to look at Collingwood up to this point in the season with a few questions.
Yep. These will be good.
Yep. Alright, how well do you think we're playing out of 10?
9.3.
Really?
No.
Do we need security to throw you out here?
6. 6 out of 10.
Yeah, so
We're just motoring along, but we're winning, so you give them an extra point for that.
So you have a hope that...
I have lots of hopes.
You'd have another hope that they got another gear to go up to now.
What, into first gear?
Yeah, well, out of what they've been doing, which is... I don't know, I've never driven the manual, but you know...
Winning games ass backwards?
Yeah, well, shifting from neutrals to first, up to fourth, then back to first, and like they're all over the place.
And they're crunching that gear when they go into reverse by accident?
To me, it is a bit concerning that this is the way they've been playing.
You look concerned.
I'm very concerned. I'm hoping this isn't endemic of who we are this year, that now, when we come to the second half of the season, we're going to see some
You
steady...
do know who you follow, don't you?
I said, like, it reminds me of the 203 season where after the bye, we were really all over the place, but after the bye, we came out a lot more determined. We've done the right thing. We've won games, probably won about 4 games we probably would have lost a couple of years ago, which were close. So we've got the results on the board. The Fremantle loss was one which, disappointing, but hopefully it was a bit of a wake-up call. But this is now, surely we want to see them start to gear up.
Oh, absolutely. We should come out of the bye, like, maybe not lose another game for the rest of the year. Would that be enough?
They'll probably be asking a bit much. I wouldn't mind if they lost one late in the season.
No, I think the standard needs to lift. Now, I don't think it'll lift exactly straight out of the bye. We'll probably lose to Footscray, just to prove my point. But as we get towards the business end, and if we solidify a top 4 spot, then we should be pumped and primed and ready to go.
All right.
Have I rehearsed that well enough?
Yeah.
Did I sound convincing?
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Do you think they bought it?
Someone would have bought it. How do you rate the Beams acquisition?
It's shaping up to be a fail. It's too early to call it a fail, but it's heading that way. It's heading that way with a bullet.
Well, I was always against it. Go check the early episodes. At 29, for that price, I didn't want him, and now he's got that hip condition, and you'd think people might say, oh, but we didn't know he was going to be injured. But it's like he's 29. These sort of things come with being older players, and unless he finds some form, whether it's later this year or next year, that really elevates him, I just don't even actually see where there's a spot for him in that side.
No, I don't think he'll play again this year, but even if he was fit enough, I think he's going to struggle to get back in.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, that dreaded injury curse rears its ugly head.
We're going to go to injuries in a bit. Darcy Moore experiment, is it working down back?
Oh, absolutely.
You think it is?
Oh, absolutely. I think he's had
but
a phenomenal year. Well, we might beg to differ on this one. What's your thoughts?
I think, and this is reinforced after watching Carlton Bulldogs on Saturday night, where Curnow kicked 7. Darcy Moore could be a Charlie Curnow, Jeremy Cameron type forward who kicks a lot of goals and rips opposition apart. I think he does well down back, but if, as I said before, if I was going to play him down back, I'd engineer it so he gets like the 3rd or 4th best forward, so he can run off them.
He does it anyway.
Yeah, but the problem is he's actually leaving a gun behind, unmanned, which I don't want him to do. To me, he has all this talent, and playing him as a fullback is using like that much of it, whereas playing him as a forward could be like humongous. That's my belief, and I think if you look at defence last year, even when we had all those injuries, they were pretty well knitted. And now Darcy Moore has improved that defence, but to me, defence was never the issue. The forward line was the issue. Especially in the grand final, we just couldn't get goals. And if you had someone like a Darcy Moore, I mean, Buckley probably would have done it, but if you had Darcy Moore playing at fullback, I would have swung him forward in the last 15 minutes, hoping to snag a mark. And and I just think he's probably got a lot more upside as a forward.
Fair enough.
Brody Grundy.
Yes.
Speculation on whether he'll stay or whether he'll go.
He's not going anywhere.
So you're definitely won't go?
No, I think he absolutely loves Collingwood.
Why would he do that?
Because he's insane.
But he's accomplished everything he's going to accomplish at Collingwood. Well, he's going to win a Brownlow, and then...
He could lose more grand finals. There's always... You never say never. No, I think he's one player that I believe is well and truly happy where he is.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some rumour going around that he's wants to start a family with his girlfriend or something, and they want to do that back in South Australia.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't make these rumours up. I'll leave that to the media. But yeah, that doesn't sound like that's a strong enough certainty to drag you away. He's going to be on very good coin. He could go somewhere else and be on very good coin. But would you want to go to South Australia? Does this show go to South Australia? I don't think it does it?
I don't have it.
We only have YouTube in Victoria, don't we?
Yeah. Is there a concern like in a couple of years' time? We keep Grundy. You got Grundy, Stevenson, Darcy Moore, Jordan DeGoey, all potential superstars are going to put their hand down and say, give me some more money. And then you have a raft of players around them. You know, like Maynard, these sort of guys who they're not going to command millions, but they're going to still command pretty high coin. Do you think there's a risk we're going to see players get squeezed out?
No, I've got great faith in the bean counters to come up with something there.
Well, the good thing in about 2 years' time, we finally should be...
I think they've done well to re-sign a lot of them this time around.
Yeah.
So who's out of contract at the end of the year? It's only
Grundy.
Elliott and no, Grundy's got another year, isn't he?
I thought it was out of contract. We should do
No,
research.
we don't do research. I mean, to do research would give us credibility. We don't want
There's
that.
research for later stuff.
You've written that in crayon.
The good thing about a couple of years' time when it comes to re-signing, we'll finally be free of the Daniel Wells contract. Unless they re-sign him.
But he's paying for chicken feed or something. Didn't he forego his agreement to keep Grundy?
Well, you made a mistake there. You said he's playing. He's getting paid for being on the list.
He said, pay me nothing. If I get through half of football, you can up it.
All right, I want to segue into the injury list.
Doesn't he play for Hawthorn now?
Segue?
Yeah.
Oh, segue. No. All right.
These jokes are so clever, even you don't get them.
So, Flynn Appleby comes back. Great.
Where's me party popper?
Sam Murray is suspended indefinitely. I don't know how that works. Just maybe go to Essendon after this.
He'll be a pensioner before this thing is resolved.
Now, depending where you look...
Are they waiting on the C sample to come back?
I don't know.
From Paraguay?
So, depending where you look, Tom Langdon is either 3 weeks away...
Is he?
...or he's a season away.
Well, are we talking absolutes or Collingwood?
Collingwood.
No, so he's a season away.
So, done season. Beam's 11 to 15 weeks.
Well, what did he do? Couldn't he
a
got
hit.
a better lawyer?
Daniel Wells, 11 weeks. Nathan Murphy, indefinite, which is a shame. Will Kelly, 5 to 8 weeks. I mean, Nathan Murphy's a guy, he had a taste of it last year. You would have really hoped he, got to play more this year.
Broomhead, how's Broomy going?
Broomhead's playing.
Is he?
Yeah, I think he is.
For who?
I don't know, St. Vincent's. The two that concern me, because they were meant to be only a couple of weeks, are Taylor Adams and Jamie Elliott.
Oh, is there something wrong with him?
And Taylor Adams was listed as training so well he could be a shock inclusion against Sydney, which is a month ago.
Oh my God, they killed him.
And now he's still not available after the bye. It moved from shock inclusion to no, he's coming back after the bye. And now it's like, well, hang on, he's not even coming back after the bye.
Hang on a second. Has Channel 7 had any footage of him running around a training?
No.
Oh, he's dead.
Well, they might CGI him. To me, I really think Adams trained really well against Sydney and then he's re-injured himself and Collingwood aren't admitting it. That's just my speculation. But I don't know how there's gone from... He could be a shock inclusion to... there's still no time line on when he's coming back. Elliott's hamstring for this long, again, it's a different part of the hamstring.
Is it? Oh, that's encouraging.
Well...
Because apparently if you do them all, then you get a prize.
But surely, it's like, well, if your hamstring is that vulnerable, then who gives a shit what part of the hamstring you do an injury to? It's still possible that it's going to keep you up the same length of time if you did the part that had been troubling you for the last 9
Well,
years.
it's funny you mention Elliott's hamstring because I just happen to have it here. No,
What?
I don't.
What do you think Jamie Elliott's fate is? Because I don't think we'll really see him back this year. And I'm just speculating. I don't know anything.
you'd seriously have to. I think he'd almost be
Mothball.
put out to market, wouldn't he?
Who's going to take him?
Well, that's the thing. I think you'd have to go there and see if there's any takers to see if you got something back of value. Otherwise, you just have to give him a reduced monetary contract to hang around and see how he goes.
Unfortunately for Elliot is he's had 2 of the last 4 years where she's just missed the entire year. So he's really at a stage where you're going, okay, your body's probably telling you it's unfortunate, but it's not going to withstand the rigours of AFL.
No.
And that happens to some players. You can't predict it and all that, but for some reason his body continually breaks down. And, when you look at this year when they sent Elliot and
Darcy Moore.
Ben Reid also
Did he go?
To
the
German doctor.
Yeah.
I really thought Ben Reid would be the one who'd be breaking down every 3 weeks. Ben Reid had the injury early in the season, and since that he's been back and he's played consistently. He's played some good football.
I think they gave him bionics.
Well, maybe they should give it to Daniel Walls also. But of the players out, who do you really think we need back in? I mean, we saw Braden Sire immediately add value to that midfield.
Oh, absolutely. Langers, I think's got a place.
Yeah.
We were ostracised online during the week for letting him slip by as one of the return players, by the way, and it was a good pick-up, actually.
Who was it?
I think it was Jones Bicky.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Bones.
So, we cocked that one up. But, I think Langer's a definite...
but I think with Langdon, what was his name? Sam Brown? Whatever the hell that guy's name is. He was purporting that Langdon was out for the year, so I didn't actually even consider him a possibility.
Oh, so now you're just making excuses?
Yeah, I'm just making things up.
Jesus Christ. So when do you start at Channel 7?
President. Of the guys out, I'm only thinking Taylor Adams is the only one really that I could fit back in.
Oh, definitely.
Scharenberg, if he comes good enough that and they need him, but the way that defence is knitted,
he's going to be underdone though. But he'd be a chance.
Well, Dunn is out, so I can't see how he'll be underdone.
Over Macho Grande.
Yeah. All right. So, in talking about Matthew Scharenberg, I did some research. I looked at the top 15 from his year when he was drafted. Okay, so of the top 15 players who were drafted, only 2 have played less games than Scharenberg.
Me?
You went in the top 15. You went at 16 to Essendon.
Who were they? Do we have a drum roll?
If you're on the drum roll, Nathan Freeman. He played 2 games, but they were for St Kilda. And Ben Lennon, he played 21 games for Richmond. And then if you look at the other players...
Didn't Chapman take him out?
Did he?
Ben Lennon?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes, we've never heard that one before. Scharenberg's on 31 games. But then when you look at the rest of that class... So you got guys like Cam McCarthy, Tom Boyd, who's now retired, who are on 63 and 61 games. And then you have guys like Zach Jones, Cade Koladajny, I can't pronounce that properly, who are on 80-plus games. And then you get Patrick Cripps at Carlton and Dom Sheed, bastard, and Jack Billings, 90-plus games. And you get Josh Kelly, Marcus Bontempelli, and Luke McDonald, who are on 100-plus games. So it really shows how little our 2 draftees are. And the other guy I've missed out on is James Aish, who's on 77 games. He played some for Brisbane, he's come across. But we had 2 picks in that top 10, and we've gotten a total of 31 games out of those 2 players who you would have thought would have been mainstays for the future.
You would have thought that, wouldn't you?
You would have thought.
I think the club thought that as well.
You would have hoped. But, I mean, that just sort of really shows how much they messed up their drafting. I mean, it's not... Sorry, I should say they messed it up, but how unfortunate that draft was for them.
It sounds unfortunate.
It was massively unfortunate.
Was it referred to as the unfortunate draft?
Oh, look, if you picked up, any one of those other guys outside of Ben Lennon at a draft, like Dom Sheed, if we picked up Dom Sheed, for example, he wouldn't have been at West Coast to kick a winning goal against us.
It's like an X-File, really, isn't it?
It's like poetry. It rhymes. Okay, so I'm just going to go through some players. Report card.
Mm-hmm.
Jaden Stevenson.
What are we grading him out of? Like A, B, C, D, Z?
Grade him out of a zoo. Just call him a horse.
He'd be an A.
Now, Stevenson's interesting because they tried to play him back early in the year and he looked...
Was that the wrong answer?
No, it's fine. But ever since they moved him back forward, he's looked dangerous. His kicking was terrible. Still side bottom. Your favourite whipping boy?
A C.
Yeah, I think he's been sporadically good at times. but generally
absent for the rest.
Yep. Jordan De Goey.
A plus.
De Goey is an amazing talent when you look at... I think there's been games where he's only played about 8 minutes of...
Really what an 8 minutes!
And it is. He's kicking like 3 goals, and you think, geez, if he could actually get his fitness and his leg right, he'd be amazingly dangerous.
Well, he's still only 14 years old.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit.
But that leg issue, which has been there for 2 years, you hope they can sort that out.
Shin splints.
Yeah. Adam Treloar.
B.
So Treloar for me is just being lost in side congestion.
He got a cold?
He's got a cold of Collingwood's stoppage clearances. James Aish.
That's an interesting one.
He isn't. So Aish is the one I consider vulnerable.
B plus. But yeah, go on.
Scharenberg or Langdon can come back.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
I think he's holding his own.
But he's the one I would see as not producing as much. I'll say the guys that would be all in that same category would be Howe. Who did I just say there? Aish, Maynard, and Crisp.
Because defenders, you always look at them as they're your quiet achiever. If they're not doing anything bad, that's when you notice them and that's when you get critical. But you tend to, if they played a game out and stifled their opponent and done very little on the counter, that's been a standout, that's probably a really good return for a defender.
It probably is, but if you're looking at something like, all right, look at Langdon.
Where is he?
He's over there. Oh. Really, look at him like, for example, in that final against GWS. Just intercepted mark after mark to repel them at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Crisp, that Richmond prelim, he kicked 2 goals from half back. He just kept running. Maynard provides that run and grunt. And you think, well, but they all have like a facet of their game which injects something unique to Collingwood. Whereas Aish is really sort of solidly competent. He's meant to be a neat kick, but you don't ever see him sort of counter-attacking with some raking possessions or something like that. So
he's fulfilling his role.
But I'm saying if you get guys like Langdon and Scharenberg back, I think he is the one, if those two or one of those two was pressing for a position, he's the one that would probably be vulnerable. Howe was better last week. He, again, another really good intercept mark and play tall and small. I mean, they're just sort of speculating. Unless they actually push any of those guys, further up the field and then create that spot for one of those guys to come back. Chris Mayne.
He's not had a good year, has he?
I would say
he'd be a D at the moment.
I think he's gone back to largely what we were contending for last year, is a lot of safe possession. He gets in there, he really provides a hard body, he'll attack the ball, but there's too many just sort of like, got it, yeah.
Maybe he just saves himself for the finals. Maybe he'll just unleash.
Well, he was brilliant in the finals.
In the latter half of the year. I mean, the guy had a broken back, for Christ's sake. You got to give him some slack.
And then someone kicked him in the head.
Yeah, who was that?
Someone kicked him sideways in the head. In the bottom of the head. Callum Brown.
I'd say he's a C at the moment, but now jigging towards a C+.
He's an interesting
because
one.
of his flashiness.
When he contributes, he's very productive, but he can have large stretches of being anonymous on field.
He only played 10 games.
Yeah, I know, but I want to get that consistency there. Levi Greenwood.
11 games?
Yeah.
Okay.
Levi Greenwood.
He's B+ at the moment for me. He's since going down back where we all bit our collective tongues, he's been really, really, really good.
He's been great. Well done, Levi. We're wrong. We were wrong. Jeremy Howe.
He's only just treading water really this year, so probably a C.
And finally, Jordan. Is it Jordan or Jared?
Jared De Goey.
Roughhead.
Geez, I'd say he's a B+, to be honest.
He's been really solid. He is. So he actually epitomised what you said there. He's been really solid without doing spectacular things. He's done some really good intercept marking, but you don't really notice him like the way Darcy Moore will have his mad dash out of the fence and go for a mark.
He's very solid.
He's been really a great.
He's a rock. He's been a rock down there.
So okay, so what do you think of the likes of Josh Thomas, Travis Varco, and Hoskin Elliott? Hoskin Elliott had a really good game against Melbourne, but that would have been his first off of the year over the 4 quarters. Thomas has really struggled, and Varco is lively without damaging enough on the goals.
He's just a human pinball these days. Thomas, I think, he's had a very disappointing year. I'd say he's probably a C minus. See, what's the better ones? Minus or pluses? I'd say this is why I failed algebra.
It's plus because you're working your way up to the high
so
grade.
he'd be a C minus,
Yep.
and I'd say Varks would be a C minus as well. But you probably with Varks, you're a little bit happier he's out there. Thomas, I think he's been one bad game away from being dropped for about the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, I'm really surprised Josh Dagos didn't get a look in at any point. I'm hoping now that, and we had this conversation about
2 minutes ago.
who are we talking about? We're talking about Marley Williams,
Mm.
and we're talking about like there's players like Jake Frost, Jared Blair, Brent McCaffer, Marley Williams, is another one who explode on the scene. They show a lot of potential. They have a rapid evolution, and then they just stop, and that's where they stay. And there's been guys before them like Tarkin Lockie and that who've done the same thing. And it's like, okay, this is what you're contributing. We could just get another young guy in who's going to do just as much. We'll have a lot more enthusiasm because they're young and hungry, and there's a possibility they have upside enough to elevate above you. So Josh Thomas to me now is there. It's like you're not doing anything more than that. Maybe,
Did he cough when he was there?
He really, coughed with. Anyway, any final thoughts on the mid-season break review, look back at Collingwood, and then...
What are we, 9-3, 9-4,
Yep.
9-3? You'd have to be happy, really, wouldn't you? But it's one of those seasons where you're more critical of performance and yet winning games. And I think that's a little bit come because we've come off that grand final loss, and you don't want a repeat of that happening again so much at the end of the year that if they get there, you want them to be at their absolutely knives out dominant best. And we haven't really seen much more than maybe 10, 15
Flashes.
minutes of that.
Maybe
during
Richmond was
games.
probably the only game. But even the Richmond game, we dominated the first half, and I think we went in scores even or just a goal up or something. I mean, for me, that's the concern is just, obviously you don't want to be at peak form in June and stuff like that. But there's been a lot of close games which you would have went into pre-game against Carlton, against St Kilda, against Fremantle, where you would have, and Sydney and all that, where you thought, okay, if we don't smash them, well, it'll just be one of these, we'll get the 5-6 goals up and it'll just stay at that for the rest of the game. Instead, in all those games, it was an arm wrestle to actually win. And some of them we won comfortably in the end because we kicked away in like a 5-minute spurt. But the 3 quarters that preceded that was just a gigantic tussle, which to me raises concerns about consistency of application and whether it's going to be there. So we'll see anyway. In the
Time
next
will
half
tell.
the year.
Time will tell.
Time has told. We'll be back with Media McFiddick.
Oh, this should only be a quick one.
It should be a quick one. Welcome to Media McFiddick.
This should be a quick one.
Yes. Someone sent me an article, I think it was you actually.
Was it me?
Yeah. About the premiership profile of football clubs is made up of 5 key statistics.
Is it? What are
Yes. Points differential from turnovers.
they? Mm-hmm.
Points scored from the forward half.
Yep.
Opposition scores per inside 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Forward 50 ground balls. And post-stoppage contested possessions, which, as the name suggests, all contested possessions that occur outside and after a stoppage.
Oh.
So Geelong...
I would have thought the fifth one would have been stunning hairstyles.
I don't think we have any at Collingwood. Geelong's first in all of these,
Are they?
except opposition scores per inside 50, where they're second.
Where are we?
We're third in everything, except forward 50 ground balls, where we're ninth. And to me, that would suggest, I don't know if I'm misreading that statistic, but to me, that would suggest what our criticism has been the whole year. We really lack that crummer once the ball hits the ground. GWS is third. Surprisingly, Port was fourth on that whole list.
Oh, this list is a sham.
It was actually interesting when you read it, because a lot of average clubs are sort of pretty high up there, and West Coast was down at 11th.
Good.
So I don't know, how accurate a reflection it is, if it's something like Nostradamus' prediction, which they make fit after the fact.
Is there a quatrain?
Yeah. Nick Dacos kicked a goal after the siren to win the game by a point.
Oh, no use for that.
He's taller than Josh Dacos, his brother, dual-sided, eligible for the draft in 2 years.
You beauty.
Cool.
Hearing a lot of positives coming out of him.
Yep. Well,
What do you think we'll have to give up for him with this manipulated system that's in place now?
well, surely you just told him to go play basketball for 2 years and then he'll slip under the radar and we take him for pick 158.
You're a genius.
Or the other thing is, well, look, let's be serious. All right, so 2 years he's eligible for the draft.
Mm-hmm.
By that time, we should have three-peated. So we'll only have like a pick 19 to give up.
Oh, that's it then. That'll do.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Yep. VFLW side won a narrow one, 11-13-79 over the might of Darabin, who kicked 1 point.
Good on you, Darabin. You tried. That's all we ask.
You look at the VFLW side.
Was it a rush behind?
I don't know.
Is that a sexist thing in the VFLW?
I don't know. We'll have to consult someone who's an expert on.
Or if we get it wrong,
semantics.
it's an insult. Or just insult someone.
All right. Mark Robinson, our favourite,
Oh, he's a good bloke.
suggests Ben Stratton should get 3 to 5 weeks of pinching.
Pinching what?
Pinching Orazio Fantasia.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty average act, to be honest, too. I don't know. Is he gone to the tribunal or going to the tribunal?
He's probably going to the tribunal as we record.
Yeah. I heard something about this on the radio, that he was going to the tribunal, but I wasn't barely listening. So he did 3 acts. He flipped the bird on the weekend to the crowd. He stomped on someone's foot, and he pinched someone on the arm. And it's just not really manly acts, is it really?
Well, Craig Kelly used to do it to Gary Ablett
Did he?
25 years ago.
Yeah, how did Apple go?
Oh, Ablett talked about how much he didn't like him. And I think he kicked about 15 goals. I was surprised. I mean, as you said, I told you about this. Mark Robbins saying 3 to 5 weeks, and you're going, well, if he punched him in the head, he'd only get like 1 week, so...
You better off punching someone in the head.
You should have just done it.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, so...
Toxic masculinity.
Orazio Fantasia. Essendon and Fantasia have come out and said, you pronounce my name Fantasia. Brian Taylor has refused to conform and still calls him Fantasia.
Does he?
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I don't care.
Really?
No, I couldn't give a shit what he calls him.
You don't think he's arrogant doing that?
No.
Oh, okay. I actually think it's a really arrogant act. If I was Essendon, I'd be complaining. Brody Grundy tweeted he needs to wear black and white permanently.
Brody Grundy does?
Yeah.
I agree.
He was in the picture with his brother who plays in the SANFL for the Port Adelaide Magpies. His brother was wearing a Port Adelaide Magpies jumper, which is black and white. So it's
The
almost...
prison bars.
Yeah, so it's almost like Brody Grundy's going, you could play this both ways.
So what? You think we'll trade Brody Grundy to Port Adelaide in the Sandful?
Uh-huh.
Oh, what do we get back? A cheese board?
His brother. Alright, so talking seriously, for a change, how have you felt about what's happening with security at Marvel and at the MCG, where they're really monitoring crowd, spectators? I had a report, I'll keep it anonymous, that someone...
Can we touch on Jeff Kennett's view?
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll have a...
How were the 80s?
I'll say anonymous report that, someone who knows security at Marvel was told AFL have spotters, they text security when they believe there's an issue, security comes, clamps down. There's people complaining that they've been told they're shouting too loud, nothing offensive. How do you feel about that?
Well, there was that photo of the two of them wearing the vest that pretty much said it was the aggravated behaviour squad or something like that.
Well, did you watch the Carlton Bulldogs game?
No.
So toward the last quarter, they were actually showing footage of security going up and down the aisles.
Were they goose stepping?
I don't know what goose stepping is.
Let's see what the Nazis did.
Oh, okay. Why don't you say they're walking like Nazis?
Well, they're walking like John Cleese.
But Matthew Richardson he was condemning them. He was going, fans don't need that.
Well, he's on the other side of the fence where he's safe.
But it's interesting because usually the commentators won't be critical of something like that, or anything AFL related. And Matthew Richardson just came out and he goes, I really don't like the look of that. And supporters need to be able to feel they can support, but obviously everyone's intimidated there. They can't speak.
I don't think you can be ostracised for being too loud at the footy. Obviously, the foul language is something you've got to probably try and curtail. I mean, we've had that... you've been seeing it up on the scoreboard for years about reporting antisocial behaviour, and you text that number, and I've been texting them about Collingwood for years, and they leave them out there, so I don't think it's working. But no, I think aside from that, look, I don't see fighting as something you should ever do at the footy. That's always stupidity at its optimum. Barracking loud, that's what it's about. Swearing off the top of your nut over the top is probably a little bit too much. And, you can be tapped on the shoulder for that. You don't have to be kicked out there.
I'd think you'd get a warning for doing that.
A written warning? Do you have to write lines? Do they take you into a room and write 50 times, I must not fucking swear?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. I mean, I agree. The thing that annoys me, Terry Brown wrote a really good article about the way the game's moved away from its grassroots. And then Chip Legrand, I don't know who that is, he goes, oh yeah, sure, we'd left behind those drunks that used to rule the terraces, and you don't know how good you've got it now.
We've moved away from that a long time ago.
But the thing I was just going to say is, you really have a black and white view.
As he swigs a beer.
Yeah. You have a black and white view nowadays of everything. And to me, it's like, you know what, fights are going to happen. I'm not condoning them. But a fight is going to happen. In a crowd of 80,000, you get a fight of 8 people. 79,000 other people are behaving well. So
just a few rotten apples, really.
Well, it is. And you can't condemn the whole because a few people are just being arse clowns. And that's what sort of annoys me. Everyone points at there was a fight. Supporters are terrible. Alcohol's terrible. Let's just cut it all out. It's like, okay, it was how many people out of the whole attendance? 10? And everyone else was fine. I mean, we go and we have drinks. We'd never get violent with anyone. We just walk off. You have some good-natured banter with people. But this sort of attitude of, oh, well, hey, because this happened once, let's just tar everyone off the same brush and say, well, you're all just worthless, and let's just totally implement stringent policies now. Jeff Kennett said...
Oh, this will be good.
I didn't quite...
What's he said, the old boy?
So he said, having a look at who security were,
yeah,
they might not be aware of what was required to judge crowd participation.
Oh, well, what would that be?
I think he was implying that they were new Australians who didn't have a grounding in Australian rules football and Australian culture.
Oh, well, I don't get it. What does he mean?
I think he might feel they don't understand banter and they stamp on it as being overt when they should probably just hold back and go, no, that's fine. It's not actually being violent or abusive. That's being witty.
That's witty?
I don't know. What's the funniest thing you've heard in the outer? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
Probably something I said.
What? Stick to the ice cream street?
It was one of the more funnier ones. One of the funniest things? I don't know. Off the top of my head, no, I don't know. Collingwood might win a flag. It was pretty funny. I heard that one once.
I actually recall in about 2004, we went to a practice match at Vic Park, and I just showed up in about the first 3 minutes, and there was a free kick that paid against us. And I shouted out, you've been killing us all year, umpire. And
how'd the crowd go with that one?
They laughed, and it was actually quoted in an article about the practice match on Vic Park by respected Collingwood post. I haven't seen him for years. Wassis, remember him?
Yeah.
But I'm just sort of I think back about that, and I think I probably would have been thrown out for just shouting that out.
I would have thrown you out for making a bad joke.
Oh, it's not so bad. It had people laughing. Alright, that's it. We're going to come back with the match preview.
Oh, good. Who we got?
The Bulldogs.
Oh, I'll remember that so I can write it down in the editing part.
Okay. So we're back with the match preview against
the Kangaroos.
Bulldogs. All right.
Oh, Bulldogs, good.
Nobody's back.
Are they?
Adams and Elliott are still out, and they're the only guys who really could have come back.
So we're going unchanged.
And just reading the Collingwood speculation about who's in contention. They said Ben Reid was dropped from the AFL team, blah, blah. But finished the game with 15 disposals, 7 marks, 11 hit-outs and 2 goals in the game. It was smashed. And it's actually funny when I was reading that, in the original report it was he didn't get much opportunity, but now they're really pumping him up. They're talking about Josh Dagos, had another good game. Last game finished with 24 disposals, 3 marks, 6 tackles and 4 rebound 50s. Really impressed with Dagos' tackling. His numbers are always up there, which I didn't think would be a feature of his game. I don't know why, I just didn't think it would be there. Isaac Quaynor, he was quiet against the Casey Demons, but remains in contention. I don't see why, because again, as we talked about with that defensive 6 or 7, it's really well filled. And your favourite player, Ben Crocker, solid performer. Crocker was a carryover emergency, meaning he didn't play at any level last weekend. So he
was best on?
Yeah, well, he didn't make a single error. So you'd think that we're probably going to go in unchanged.
I think we'll go in unchanged.
Tom Liberatore is out for the Dogs, which is a useful out for Collingwood, a very good inside mid.
Mm-hmm.
They're having a few little injury worries. They've been up and down the whole year. I saw them against Carlton. They were great at times and they were putrid at other times.
It's like not Hemingway. Who wrote, was it the best of times?
Charles Dickens.
Dickens, was it?
Yep. He was talking about Collingwood Rant finals.
Yeah, there was a great expectation.
It was best of times to the worst of times. What's your thoughts about this game? It's played at Marvel Stadium.
In pristine conditions.
In pristine conditions, other than security.
We should obviously win. We'd be expected to win. They lost to the
beat
Blues
Carlton
by
by-
3
they-
points.
they beat
Blues lost by 3 points, which is still funny.
Really funny.
Yeah, no, I'd be fairly confident. You'd be confident? I'd be fairly confident.
My only concern with this game is just how we come off the bye. Do we come out a bit lethargic? I think we're 3 wins and 4 losses after byes in the Buckley era. So
A lot of teams lose after coming off the bye, don't they? Is that one of those stats that people make up?
no, they make it up. So some teams do well after the bye, others do. I think it also depends who you play and where you play and what sort of game and all that.
We should be cherry ripe though, because we're having our resurgence starting this game.
And we actually have a pretty tough run. I was looking at it. We've had 2 games at Marvel.
Yeah, we talked about the run home.
And then we play
last
FCG,
week.
but then we have like a game in WA, then we have a game at GWS. So it's actually a tough run physically. What do you think's going to be the outcome?
I think we'll win by 36 points.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I'm going with that.
Oh, good. We're agree then. So Collingwood doesn't need to play now. Give us the 4 points, so it's a 36-point win, and let's rest them for another week.
I actually think the really good thing about the game against Melbourne is Sire helped other pieces fall back into place.
Correct. I think he's only going to be better for the run.
Yep.
And he'll probably win the Brownlow after this week.
And he talked about wanting to stay at Collingwood, so that's speculation.
Make it happen.
Yep. Ask clowns in the media who said, he'd be prey for clubs looking for a big mid. It's like, okay.
Is Gary Lyon fishing for him again?
Yeah, he's praying for him. Anyway, final thoughts.
Yes, it's 6-goal win, no injuries. That's all you can ask really for.
I'll ask for a 6-goal, 1-point win.
It's in the family-friendly time slot of 3:20 on a Sunday. What a fucking great idea that is.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll matter, will it?
Well, Gil McLaughlin came in and apologised for fans feeling intimidated, so hopefully he can go to the game this week and just swear your fucking heads off. Just shout out,
Gil's no deal.
Anyway, that's it for us. We'll have some specials coming up some point, and we'll be back with our regular show
I think
next
specials
week.
is probably not a good descriptor.
We'll see.
We'll have some averages coming up.
Yeah. Subscribe. We're on Spotify, iTunes. Rate us on iTunes. We're getting after a bit of a pillorying. We're just on our way up from iTunes.
Yeah, no, we're manipulating our own figures, but we can only do so much, and we need your help.
Just like the front bar. Yep. And share us around, share the love. Have any questions?
Preferably with Swedish girls.
And preferably, if you're going to share comments in YouTube, because we don't always have time to look at the message boards or our Facebook
We
page.
just don't have much interest.
No, we
don't have much time.
Yeah, so if it's direct on YouTube or on our Facebook page,
the good thing about the YouTube ones is I get an email about it, and then I can read it,
Yep.
and then I tell you about it,
Yep.
and we talk about it for about 4 days, and we say thank you, but with our hearts, not with our hands.
So, apologies if anyone's addressed us and we just haven't had time.
We just don't have time.
Anyway, we'll be back next week. So,
If we
until
find the
then,
time.
that's back to my normal
No, I
form.
might make it 31 points now.
Later.